Hi everybody, my name is Danielle Nicole and welcome to Monetary Makeup. Today we are playing with the new Morphe Gilded Desert Collection. I'm super excited because I was actually able to pick up this collection a little bit earlier than I should have, and this video is not sponsored. I did purchase all these items myself. So today I'm going to be putting together a look for you guys using the new Gilded Desert eyeshadow palette, testing out the Bronze Show bronzer, and 2 of the Gleam Big highlighters. Now I actually ordered 3 highlighters, however the third one is not here. So when I receive that, if you guys want to see a swatch or a video trying that out, just let me know down below. And while I test out the new Gilded Desert Morphe collection, the topic of the day is going to be how much money do I really need to start my own IRA? So if you're excited to get started and enjoy the video while you're watching, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and let's get started right now. So let's go over a few quick details about this collection. So this is what the 35U Gilded Desert Morphe palette looks like. So this palette definitely has a fair share of warms, cools, and neutrals, as well as mattes and shimmers. Now I'm actually not the biggest fan of Morphe, at least I haven't tried too many of their products in the past. However, this collection really screamed to me, especially for summer. I'm going to do a full demo and look for you guys today, and I'll also be doing swatches, so don't you worry. So this palette consists of 35 different shades, and one of the things that really drew me to this collection is not only does it have a really summery bronze vibe, but the color story in this palette is not your traditional neutrals. And what I mean is, yes, it is a neutral palette, however, some of these neutral shades actually lean kind of a taupey green, and I find that those shades are pretty unique. Usually taupes lean brown, so really excited to play with this palette. Now there are several different shades in both the bronzer and highlighter. I wasn't able to pick up every single one of them, but the bronzer I picked up to test out is called Bronze Vibes. Now this Bronze Vibes shade, gosh, that's a tongue twister. The Bronze Vibes shade, it does appear to lean neutral, even a little bit cool. So I was really excited to see that Morphe had a cool tone option. And then the 2 highlighters that I have today to test out are called Frosted Champagne and Gilded Glow. Now I was actually pretty impressed seeing the variety of tones not only in the highlighters but also the bronzers. They do appear to go from very fair to very deep. So let's first get started with swatches. So the Morphe 35U Gilded Desert palette consists of 35 different shades with a variety of mattes and shimmers. Now I think this palette is going to be the perfect addition for summer. Definitely has a bronze taupey vibe, so super excited to dive right in. Now it appears that there are 3 shades in this palette that are mattes that have a little bit of shimmer to them. So the one thing about these shades is I know they aren't necessarily the most popular, but what I find is once you start blending them out, they basically turn into a matte, at least in my experience. Next up, we have the bronzer in Bronze Show. This appears to be the perfect neutral leaning cool bronzer for someone who has a fair to light cool undertone like myself. Next up are the 2 different highlighters. The one that leans a little bit more bronze and champagne is called Gilded Glow, and the one that has a little bit more of an icy punch is called Frosted Champagne. Aw, you guys, can you see the bunny out there? How cute. Oh, sometimes I feed them lettuce. Aren't they just adorable? Now, as someone who has never tried Morphe before, I didn't think they ever included duochromes or multi-chromes in their palettes. If that's incorrect, let me know down below because I have no idea. Now, I just swatched a couple of the shimmer shades just to see, and it appears a few of them are actually duochromes. So I will definitely be dipping into those duochromes if that is what they end up being. It looks so in the swatch. But to get started, I want to start with a matte. So for the first shade, let's do In the Deep, which it may appear to be a brown on camera, and it is, but it definitely has a little bit of a red hue to it. Morphe M456 brush. You guys, this palette looks so beautiful. Even the way they have the color story laid out, I really like the placement of them. And for someone who has never tested out a Morphe palette before, I'm pretty excited. I don't really have any expectations, so I will let you know either way what my experience is. These mattes are laying down very nice so far. BK Beauty A502 brush. I actually just purchased a few of these BK Beauty brushes, so I figured might as well test them out today. I love the size of them. An issue I run into pretty frequently is that brushes are just too big for my small eyes, so I really appreciate the size of these. Alright, next let's dip into this deeper brown above the previous shade, which is called Sunseeker. I brought you guys in a little bit closer, so hopefully that is helpful. This brush feels much softer than the previous one, which is interesting. Alright, well those two mattes blended out like silk. Very easy, very quick. They're not patchy at all, so I don't want to say that I had negative expectations, but I guess I wasn't expecting super high hopes for this palette. Now I know we've only dipped into 2 shades so far, but they're performing wonderfully. This palette is so big, it's so difficult to hold it up on camera as I'm talking, but this next shade is the one I am so excited for. It's called Gold Spark. So this is one of the ones that appears to have a duochrome or multi-chrome effect. Not sure if the camera will pick it up, but hopefully you could see in the swatches. So let's dip into Gold Spark next. I feel like you could honestly stop here, just apply a little bit to the lower lash line. It's almost giving me like a cat eye effect, so really pleased with these mattes. But anyways, let's dip into Gold Spark. Morphe M210 brush. Now I feel like here is the real test with the shimmers to see how well these perform. So I wanted to use a brush first before I go in with my finger. We'll see if I even have to do that. Now I am not usually a gold person. I think I've complained about all of Pat McGrath's golds, but that's because most of her golds, other than Incandescent 002, they lean super warm, and this one has a little bit of grunginess to it and kind of a red shift, so I feel like this has to be a duochrome. I will show you guys up close in a second here, but wow, I am really impressed with this shade. All right, Gold Spark, beautiful. Definitely has a little bit of a red shift to it, kind of a grungy undertone for the gold. So I think this shade is absolutely beautiful. Now the last thing I want to mention before we move on to the next shade is I just wanted to apologize that in a lot of my eyeshadow tutorials, I don't do more than one look. And in case you didn't know, I do have several other jobs, and unfortunately showing up with 2 different eye looks just wouldn't be the best situation for me. So if you do want to see another eye look with this palette or any other palette in general, just let me know in the comments down below. Alright, the next shade I want to dip into is called Blazing Heat, and this appears to also have kind of like a duochrome finish to it. So I'm going to pop this almost like a halo eye, but a little bit more on an angle. Ooh, that is pretty. You know, the other nice thing about this palette is the color story is so cohesive, so I feel like you could really go in with any of the shades and they would work together well. So next I want to add one more shade to the crease, just kind of blend everything together. So I'm going to dip into Dusk to Dawn. And I just use my Sigma color switch, same BK Beauty brush. This is a pretty shade. It's almost like a taupey red. Then I always take just a clean, fluffy blending brush just to buff out any harsh edges. And then what I quickly did off camera was I mixed the deepest brown with the deepest black right here. And those are called Sunseeker and Sahara Nights. I love these names. They are too cute. And then I just lined the upper lash line with a brow brush. So I did develop a little bit of fallout from those shades, which is to be expected when you are dipping in with a hard brush, like an eyebrow brush. It's kind of expected. All right, so next I'm going to smoke out the lower lash line with the shade Dawn to Dusk. And then I'm going to mix these 2 brown shades to get right up against the lash line tighter. I want to do something kind of fun with the lower lash line. So I'm going to go about halfway in on each side. That way we can put a fun pop of color in the middle. So I'm just trying to leave the middle portion open. And I'm just taking Morphe's M431 just to smoke this out a little bit. That brush I went in with did a little bit closer of a line than I would like, so just gonna smoke it out a hair. And I'm putting the deeper brown right at the lash line. All right, so I left the middle open so that way we can go in with a fun pop of color. So next, let's dip into Dune Buggy, which is this matte orange. Now, I am not usually an orange person because I have such a strong pink cool undertone. However, what's really nice about this palette is, yes, there's probably one orange shade, but the other ones lean more like a dusty neutral red. So for any of you who have a cool undertone and you're looking for a nice neutral palette that doesn't lean like the warm pinks and the warm oranges, this is a great color story. This is a little bit darker than I was expecting. I was kind of hoping for this shade to be lighter, but that's okay. We're gonna go in with shimmer in a second. It's kind of giving me like sunset hue vibes. Oh, and this is the Fenty concealer brush. So I just popped a little bit of the nude liner from Essence in the lower waterline, and this is in the shade 06 Silky Nude. So next I want to dip into some of these shades down here for an inner corner highlight. Now, the one thing about this palette is none of these shades seem extremely brightening, so I'm not sure if they are actually going to work as an inner corner highlight, so let's find out. So I just dipped into the shade Naked Ambition. All right, you guys, so I just popped on a little bit of mascara, and for today I went in with the Essence Double Trouble mascara. This is quickly becoming my favorite new mascara. And then for an inner corner highlight from Kaleidos, I went in with the Space Age Prophecy. All right, next let's move into this bronzer, and then we will move on to the two highlighters. So once again, the shade I picked up in the bronzer is called Bronze Show. So this is a Sedona lace highlighter brush. I actually quite like this brush for bronzer if I want a little bit more of a sculpted look. So I'm going to go in with a light hand, then I can always build up. Oh, this is going to be a great shade. This is a very easily buildable formula. I went in with a super light hand. I'm not having any issues building up, so no bronzer, bronzer. All right, so finding a good bronzer shade is so difficult when you have a cool undertone, so I'm definitely gonna pick up another one. And not only is it a good shade, but I'm finding that the blending is very easy to do. I just had a slight heart attack because I thought my mic wasn't on. It is, thank the Lord. All right, I love this undertone and the formula is so easily blendable, so I am so impressed with this bronzer. All right, so I have two different highlighters here. I am going to be testing out both of them. So the more champagne looking one is called Gilded Glow, and then the more icy white one is called Frosted Champagne. So let's dip into Gilded Glow first. This is a Wayne Goss number 3 brush. Now this shade might be too deep for my skin tone, I'm not sure, but let's see. All right, yeah, so it is providing a sheen, but I think because I'm just so fair, it's not really giving me that pop. But next, let's move on to the lighter shade, which again is called Frosted Champagne. So hopefully this one will show up better. I always go in with a light hand just because I like to be able to build up. All right, so this formula is actually very nice. It is not emphasizing any of my texture, and it does have that wet sheen glow without any glitter or shimmer or anything like that. But these are very natural highlighters. So if you're looking for that wham bam in your face outer space highlighter, then these are definitely not it. But if you like more of a natural wet sheen look, then these are beautiful. And lastly, I would say if you have a fair undertone, I would definitely go for the frosted champagne one, the one that looks a little bit more white in the pan, because you can definitely see it on my skin. You know, it's just more of a natural highlighter, that's all. All right, next let's jump into the topic of the day, and then I will see you after that for my final thoughts. It's time for the topic of the day. So if you're interested in starting or opening up your own IRA and you're not sure exactly how much money you need to first put down, then this is the topic of the day for you. Now, unfortunately, I can't just give you one generic number for the minimum to open or start your own IRA, because it does depend on the type of investment vehicle that you use for your IRA. However, there are many investment vehicle options that go as low as $25 to $50. And some have a minimum of $1,000 or more. It just depends what type of financial plan fits your lifestyle. Now, if you are interested in opening up or starting your own IRA, then I highly recommend reaching out to a financial advisor. That way they can give you some advice that fits your specific situation. And even discussing this with a tax advisor, because many times tax planning and financial planning go hand in hand. So that was my quick topic of the day. Next, let's move into my final thoughts. All right, you guys, so before I cut into my final thoughts, I just wanted to show you what this Morphe Gilded Desert Collection is looking like on the skin. And I apologize if the camera is shaking a little bit, but wanted to show you up close. So here's the bronzer and the highlighter. I think it looks really natural. I feel like it definitely sculpted my cheekbones, but it's not emphasizing any texture. I feel like it looks pretty natural. And then I'm hoping that the camera will pick this up, but check out this eyeshadow. So that first shade right here is one that shifts from that gold to red. Has a little bit of green in it too. And then the next shade right here was that red one that I plopped on. So I think these shadows turned out beautifully. They blended well. So yeah, this is what the final look is looking like. So I don't know what the reason is, but I guess I had a few negative reservations in my mind about Morphe palettes. I just assumed that the quality wouldn't be that great. I don't really know why that was an assumption of mine, but that was definitely not the case. This palette performed wonderfully. The mattes in this palette are so buttery and smooth. They really blended out very quick and easy. And you know how sometimes with mattes, when you start to go in with multiple shades, sometimes they can start to look a little bit muddy or chalky. These definitely did not do that. They were super smooth. And then as far as this bronzer in the shade Bronze Show, well, first of all, the formula is wonderful. I definitely did not have any issues building it up. And these are pigmented, but they're not overly pigmented. I personally really like products that I have control over the intensity, so this was the perfect product for that. So I'm actually going to be picking up another one of these just to have as a backup. Now, if there was one thing in the collection that I'm not super crazy about, it's definitely these highlighters. Now, it's not that the formula is bad. The formula is actually very nice. Doesn't have any glitter or anything like that. It didn't emphasize any of my texture. Has all those skincare ingredients. So overall, the formula is great. It's just that these don't have enough pop for my liking. So at the end of the day, you know, that's just a personal preference. So if any of these shades you think will work on your skin tone, then I would definitely recommend these highlighters. All right, you guys, well, I had a ton of fun creating this look for you guys. Now I want to hear from all of you down below in the comments. Have you picked up this collection? If you did, let us know what you picked up, what drew you to it, or are you completely skipping on it? All right, you guys, well, I just want to thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye, guys.